All right, today is Sunday, June 15th. Happy Father's Day to the people of you who celebrate it. And I just went off on a terrible rant instead of following the script, so I had to restart it. This is now my sixth video that I've made today, and I'm going to try to make a couple more. So if you think that being a YouTuber that does podcasts is an easy thing to do, I assure you that coming up with content can sometimes be very challenging. And today's main topic is going to be why more men have chosen not to participate in the world and instead spend their free time sleeping as much as humanly possible. Because that's what we do. The recreation of the poor has become sleep because it's what we can afford to do, and it's the only thing that makes us feel good about being alive still. Because I don't consider myself to be alive. I mean, I don't get to do anything beyond work. If anything, if I'm truly alive, I'm alive to be a slave. All right, let's get into our opening monologue. You ever wonder why so many broke men just sleep? Not because they're lazy, but because sleep is the last thing this world hasn't put a price tag on. When every hobby costs money, when every day feels like a failure, sometimes the only freedom left is to close your eyes and disappear for a while. In this video, we're going to talk about how capitalism has stolen purpose, rest, and dignity until sleep is the only escape some men have. And this is very true. The population of men who aren't in relationships, the population of men who aren't in school, education, or any sort of training, they're out there and their numbers are growing every single day. Because I see this in my comments all the time. Why should I work just to be poor? Work isn't worth it. But what activity can you afford to do so that you're not just sitting in a chair in the dark room like I am right now? Because sure, I could go to sleep right now instead of making these videos. I could just go lay down and then ask myself in 2 weeks why my YouTube paycheck is so small. But for a lot of men who can't run a YouTube channel, because it does take some talent to be able to come out here and talk every day for 20 years. Again, I can't believe I've made it to 20 years of being on YouTube, talking about the same damn things every single day. And for those people who are telling me it's like, oh, your content's too repetitive, go watch CNN right now and tell me their content isn't repetitive. It's violence, it's war, it's crime, it's a weather report that we all know doesn't change. I mean, the news in our society never covers anything important. They never cover why we can't do certain things to help the people who need help. The news and the mainstream media, all it does is glorify a booming economy and successful people. If you're a person who's not successful, you're not attractive, you don't have a good job, why would the media even notice you? This is why influencers are a thing. They're the people that we want to look at and be influenced by to either buy something or think in the way that they think. Ad campaigns are designed to make you feel bad about yourself so that you will buy a product. That's what our society does. That's capitalism working. I'm not a capitalist. And chances are, if you're watching this video, you aren't a capitalist either. But somehow we have to live in a world in which our vacations are now becoming virtual. We're going to we're going to vacation inside of your melon. You're just going to lay down and have a lucid dream about a woman who would never talk to you in real life because you're broke and possibly ugly. I had a girl yesterday ask me how big my Johnson was, and when I told her, she laughed. It's the world we live in, people. It's the world we live in. All right. Let's see. Let's get into talking point number one. Under capitalism, nearly every form of leisure, gaming, dating, hobbies, even sitting in a coffee shop costs money. For poor men, sleep becomes the only hobby they can afford. It's not laziness, it's a survival. a way to escape financial stress, emotional shame, and societal rejection without spending a dime. Ouch. Societal rejection, people. Something I feel every morning when I wake up in the morning and I don't have a good job to go to. Societal rejection. Society knows what how to define you, how to give you value. And it's taken that value away from tens of millions of men who don't have good jobs. Men who will have to continue to work these crummy jobs forever. When I hear the phrase get a better job, and I hear this from people even at my own work, I probably had 30 people in the time that I've worked for Evil Corp, just at this Evil Corp. The last place that I worked at, and the place before that, and the place before that, I heard it all the time. When you're working in retail or a call center, people tell you all the time, right to your face, why are you working this crappy job? Why can't you get a real job? And then when you ask them, it's like, what is this real job and who's hiring? Because all I hear is that no one's hiring. But everyone that's doing better than you, maybe people that aren't even doing better than you financially, will tell you that you need to get a better job, that you're wasting your time at this job. But there's never anything beyond the insult. You need to figure it out how you are going to get a better job. Because when society rejects you, and I feel this the most when I'm sitting on Indeed and I'm scrolling through the jobs and I'm looking at these ridiculous requirements of these advanced degrees, this 3 to 5 years of experience, and then I see that the job pays $16 an hour. It's kind of a kick to the boys, right? It's a real kick to the boys when they're asking you for that much, but you can go work at In-N-Out Burger for $18.50 an hour. That's what I don't understand. And you know what? Someone's going to walk up to every one of those employees that's public facing today and tell them to get a better job. I don't understand a society where everyone dislikes one another because everyone's poor. Talking point number 2. Society shames poor men for resting, calling them unmotivated or weak. But the reality is that the system strips them of purpose, opportunity, and dignity, then mocks them for symptoms of burnout. The stigma around male exhaustion ignores the emotional damage done by constant failure to measure up. There's one thing that I have heard from women my entire life. I can't stand a man that doesn't have ambition. And in today's present society, a man that lacks ambition is a man that doesn't have 3, 4 jobs and is also doing whatever else they can at home. They expect you to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and go to your first job, and then get off of that job at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and then go work at another job from 3 to midnight. Get 5 hours of sleep and do that 7 days a week. That's how you show ambition as a poor man in America. But guess what? You're still constantly failing because those jobs aren't good. A job that you're working from 3 to midnight is not going to be a job. That's the hours that I had when I worked at Walmart, except the store closed at midnight, but you didn't get to go home. Once the store closes, you got to do everything else in the store before it opens the next morning. The store has to be in pristine condition when the morning people come in 4 hours later. So that means floors cleaned, shelves arranged, bathrooms cleaned. Everything in the store has to be reset every single day of the year. And there are people doing that. People like me. Possibly people like you who've had to work minimum wage jobs for extended periods of time. And we don't work these jobs because we want to. We work them because we have to. I don't go to my day job right now because I want to. I don't go there because I want to be treated like a person who doesn't make a living wage. I go there because I have to supplement my income. Everything that we do as poor men is supplementing your income. It will never be enough again in America at any point in the future because no one's coming to save the proles. Not not a single person in this world cares about people unless you have money, and then you don't need saving. When it comes to the underclass, when it comes to the proletariat, no one is coming to save you from the indignity of work. Every morning for the rest of your life, you're going to have to put on your chicken costume, get in your promobile, and go to your job. And if you're a person like my acquaintance yesterday, she can't even do that anymore because a couple of weeks ago, and I wasn't really paying attention to her text messages, but apparently her promobile, and this is something I told her repeatedly told her, don't pay off that piece of crap car. But the bank, knowing full well that she was heading towards disaster, started badgering her to pay off her loan. She paid off her loan, and not 3 months later, the car needs repairs that cost more than the car. She can't go anywhere in that car without knowing full well that every day is the last day of her promobile because it needs a new transmission and it needs a new engine. On a 15-year-old car, that's the end of it, especially on a 15-year-old luxury car. She has no car anymore. She has to ride her bike 9 miles each way to get to her minimum wage job now. And you wonder, it's like, how many times I told her to get out of that car. But she wouldn't listen. There's a lot of people out there who believe that paying off your car and then not having a car payment is some sort of stupid freedom that they all look forward to. You are going to have to pay for a car for the rest of your life, or else you're going to end up like this prole did. Now you have a piece of junk that took you 10 years to pay off, and that car doesn't run anymore. And you're stuck with it. In fact, yesterday, one of the last things she said to me, it's like, I stopped washing my car because I'm just going to donate it because I don't have money to get it fixed. And she won't. She won't have money unless her parents come out with the money that she needs to get a new car. She's not going to have a car for a very long time. That's the understanding. She's driving it fully understanding that this is the end of her driving for a very, very long time. But I'm off on a tangent. Talking point number 3. For many men on the edge, jobless, homeless, or invisible, sleep isn't rest. It's survival. Sleeping in cars, on buses, or park benches becomes a tragic protest against a system that offers no path forward. It's the final form of retreat from a society that only values men as income-producing machines. When I was working at Allied Waste in 2006, I had to take a 2.5 hour ride on the city bus to work, which meant that I slept pretty much the whole way there and the whole way back. And it wasn't because I wanted to, it was because there was nothing else to do. I literally got on at the last stop and I got off at the last stop. So going from the Chandler Fashion Mall all the way to Mayo and 101 on a city bus is cruel and unusual, in my opinion. But you have to do it. You had no choice. I was renting a room from some boomers that were overcharging me because this is what people do when you're in a bad financial situation. They exploit you. It's what corporate America does to every single prole every day. It exploits. And so when you're in a tough spot, let's look at the 3 places that exploit people the most. Places that are all within walking distance, right down the street from my house, are 3 things that exploit people: rent to own furniture, payday loans, the pawn shop, and the 24-hour drive-through liquor store. Why did I add that one? Because what makes you go to sleep? Liquor. And that's what you want. You want your problems to stop. If you ask me why, millennial Steve, why do you drink every night? It's not because I like it. It's because I need to turn my brain off so I can stop thinking about what's going to happen to me tomorrow or the day after that. You have to turn off your brain. This is why substances in America are what we're calling healthcare, because people don't want to deal with reality. You take your substance, you sleep. You wake up, you realize that nothing has changed in the world, so you do it again. I mean, there was a couple of vacations back then, at around that time, 2008, where I would just wake up, look around, take another shot, and go back to sleep. And I did that for like 7 days straight. Like, so much time had passed between my being aware of where I was and where I didn't want to be. I didn't want to be living in that house. I didn't want to be working that crappy job. I didn't want to be on a bus 5 hours a day. Nothing of my life mattered. It was just one of the, I say this every day. Every day of my life is the worst day of my life. But that time that I had to work at that job until I got laid off from that job, it was just a miserable experience. And for the proletariat, what are you supposed to do? It's not like you can just go to sleep and wake up and just hit the respawn button and hope that you keep respawning and respawning until you hit a respawn in which you're born rich. No. For us, for the 99%, we're going to keep respawning into the same scenario. Endless student loan debt, crappy jobs, evil corp, pound town. Nothing about being poor allows you to feel any comfort. In fact, I would go in the opposite direction. America's mental health crisis is 1,000 times worse than the media portrays it. It's not a topic that the media wants to talk about, because mental health in this country means that more and more people, all they want is to tune out. That's why we have so much addiction in our society, because there's nothing to exist for. If you close your eyes and you sleep for 8 to 12 hours and you open your eyes and you realize, oh my God, I work at McDonald's. Put the fries in the bag, little bro, all day long. Like I went to the gym for the first time in the morning today because I managed to control myself last night and only drink as little as humanly possible until I got to a point where I could go to sleep. It's something that I haven't done in a long time. Self-control, right? And this morning I got up, I went to the gym, and the girl that swipes the cards, she's normally very lively in the morning. And today I said hello, and she just looked at me and just nodded her head, and I'm like, what's wrong? And she like had to pull her headphones out, and she's like, oh, I'm watching TikToks. So have a good workout. Bye. And I was like, oh, okay. So then on my way out, I worked out for 45 minutes today, which is kind of long for me. I was walking out, and like most girls, now she was listening to a true crimes podcast. I don't know why women are obsessed with true crime, but more and more women, when you ask them, what do you do on the internet? That's one of the things that they do. They like looking at makeup tutorials. They like looking at clothes try-ons. They like looking at influencers who are influencing. And it's another form of escape. Is entertainment is a form of escape. You ask any person on the street, like yesterday while I was at the salon, I asked the girls how many subscription services they had, and the list was longer than I could have possibly imagined, with Netflix being the number one thing that they subscribe to. But with that said, let's get into our closing monologue. This isn't about laziness, it's about survival. Sleep has become the shelter for men who feel unwanted, unworthy, and unseen in a world that only values productivity. Until we fix the system, sleep will keep being the cheapest way to disappear without biting it. And that should scare us away more than it does. Remember what I say all the time. If you're scared, you're not nearly scared enough of this job economy. Because this isn't about a world that's going to get better. This is a world that's getting worse in real time. Every single day that you wake up and you realize, oh my God, this is my life. I don't want to be here anymore. And you think to yourself, am I really alive? I'm not. I don't consider this life to be alive. I mean, what do? I literally just sit here and wait for work to start while working and waiting for work to start. I mean, today I'm going to make 8 videos. That means that today I'm working 8 hours on Sunday. Why? I don't have a choice, people. You and I can't get out of the way of poverty to save our lives. Poverty is going to follow us around like that rainy cloud over our heads for the rest of our lives. We don't have any means of production. In fact, I was talking to a girl yesterday and I told her it's really easy for rich people to make money because they can afford to invest in stocks, real estate, have passive incomes through other forms. We poor people, the 63% of Americans that live paycheck to paycheck, we ain't doing any of that. We're always looking for some other way of making a couple bucks. And that is just taking away your life. Constantly feeling like you need to look for something else so that you have another couple bucks is a terrible way to live because it means that every moment of your life has one focus in it, and that's to make enough money so you can afford to keep eating.